it's Darby from rejoiceandcreate.com. Thanks for stopping by today. For today's project, I was trying to think of something to do for the Thanksgiving table, and I started folding and creasing, and this cute little guy popped up. And he's actually quite easy to make, and he would be wonderful for a table favor because he'll hold a bunch of stuff. The box part is 1.5 inches tall, 1.25 inches deep, and 2 inches across. And in this one I have 3 of the Hershey's mini bars and 4 of the Hershey's Kisses, but it will also fit 3 of the full-size Ghirardellis in there as well. And I'm sure you can find other things. This one I've got 5 Hershey's Nuggets, 4 tucked down there and 1 across the top. But I think it would just make a fun and whimsical addition to the Thanksgiving table, or perhaps to anonymously start showing up on some of your coworkers' desks. So let me tell you what we need for this project, and he goes very quickly. Start with a 6x6 piece of paper, and when I picked my paper, I went for an all-over pattern on both sides. I kind of liked one that was a little bit darker and one that was maybe a little bit more colorful to make my turkey out of. And this one is the Painted Harvest from Stampin' Up! And I don't know if they have it anymore. I think it might be retired last year. This one came in a Simon Says stamp kit, and because I am not organized at all, I have no idea what it was called. But if you want to just look for a pattern that has an all-over pattern on both sides, so you don't have to worry about things being up the right way, because we're going to be doing some diagonal scoring. So anything that looks right, square when you have it this way, will actually end up being diagonal. The other thing is that if you find one pattern that you like but the back is white, just go ahead and stamp an all-over pattern on the back of it. Or if you want a solid color for one part of your turkey, for the front part of it or for the tail part of it, then just go with a solid color. For the beak, you just need a piece of beak colored paper that has a right angle on it, and each of these sides were 3/4 of an inch. So you have to have a right angle with at least both sides being 3/4 of an inch, and I'll show you how I cut that one. For the eyeballs, I just used a scrap of white. And for the wattle and the snood and the fleshy head, I just found a piece of, reddish or something that was turkey colored that would match. So I have a scrap of actually cherry cobbler for this one. And if you look closely at my turkeys, you'll see that they do have their wattle, they do have their snood, and they have 1 3/4 inch scallop circle for the head part. Now turkeys don't technically have a comb. They actually have a fleshy head, which sometimes will actually grow right into the snood. It actually comes part of the snood. And their fleshy head can be either the turkey color, can be colored with feathers, or it can just be a reddish or orangish flesh colored. So really you have a whole bunch of license when it comes to decorating your turkey however you like. Alright, so let me show you how I scored this, and I'm going to show you how I did it on both my trimmer and my scoreboard. So in case you have one or the other, we can get it done both ways. Alright, let me show you the trimmer first. We're going to first line up one of the diagonals right on the score valley. Right on that scoring groove, line it up point to point. And we're going to score right across it, and we're right on the diagonal. If you prefer to fold this in half, that's fine too. But I'm going to score it right from diagonal to diagonal. Now move those 2 points out to the 1 1/4 inch mark. Both top and bottom at the 1 1/4 inch mark. And go ahead and score that way too. Alright, that's all we need on that one. Now just turn it 90 degrees so this next diagonal, the one we have not scored on yet, is up. And we're actually going to score just on the one inch on each side of the diagonal. So line up your diagonal on 1 inch and score. And I just moved mine over to this 1 inch and score. But you're welcome to turn it 180 degrees if you want to do it that way. Okay, in order to do diagonal scoring on the scoreboard, I put a black mark right at my 6 inch marker. So if I actually put it right into there, and I kind of wiped off the top. So that mark is right down into my 6 inch groove. So I know when I'm lining things up top and bottom, I just line it right up on the same thing. So let me go ahead and line that same diagonal. I know it's hard to see, but that same diagonal I started with, I'm going to line right up on that 6 inch mark. Okay, and then I'm going to take my scoring tool, and I'm going to go ahead and score right down that 6 inch mark. And that's right on this diagonal. Now when I was on the cutter trimmer, I moved this over to the 1 1/4 inch mark so I could have a 1 1/4 inch deep mark. I don't have to do that here. All I do is go over to the 7 1/4 inch, because that gives me from the 6th to the 7th a 7 1/4 inch. And I just go ahead and run that down the 7 1/4, and that gives me that 1 1/4 inch box depth. Okay, so we got those first 2 scores done. And now we'll put that other diagonal, turn it 90 degrees and put that other diagonal up on there. And when we were on the trimmer, we went 1 inch on both sides of this. So what we'll do is we'll just actually go 1 inch on both sides of this one. So we'll go up to the 7 inch and score that one. And then we'll go down to the 5 inch and score that one. Okay, so we have it scored the exact same way. We just used the 6 inch where I have my black mark. You don't have to have it on the 6 inch. I just put it in the middle so that I can reach all the way around it. It gives me the flexibility to score some bigger pieces too. Okay, so now we're going to fold and burnish our score lines, and because you can't see what I'm doing on this one, I want to show you on this. So what we're going to do is all of our score lines, that was the diagonal across the middle. This was the 1 1/4 inch, and these were the 1 inch on both sides. Okay, so that's what we have right now. When we start folding our turkey, this part of it's going to flare out and become part of his tail. So what we want to do is meet this line up with this one. So go ahead and take that right at the corner and meet this score line up with that score line. And make sure you're right at the corner. Sometimes when I do this, I actually try to go a little bit beyond the corner and the score line. So if these guys don't match up at the top, it might be that you need to readjust the bottom so that you're right at that intersection of that score line. Okay, so we got that. That's half of our turkey tail. And we'll do the same thing with this one. Again, match this score line up with this score line. Right at that, right where that intersection is, it should start. Okay? So when we fold it, well, we're not quite finished folding it, but you have that part right there, that will be the back, his tail. All right, so now we're going to do the same thing with the front, but these guys are going to fold in. So fold that one and fold this one. And that's kind of like that bag that we do as well. And see, I'm just folding that one down and kind of pinching it this way. Same with this one. Fold this one in and fold that up at the score line. So these guys are both folded in like that. Now, because the wings, or the impression of the wings, are folded down, what we're going to do is take these points, go ahead and flip that over, and right on this score line, line that point up to the intersecting opposite diagonal score line. Well, not diagonal, but the opposite score line. So line this point to there, and make sure that score line stays lined up. And same with this side. So that point into this crossing score line, and make sure that this diagonal score line stays lined up. Okay, so now we just put them all together. Actually, the final one, you can do this before we fold it, might be easier, is actually his head. We're going to put him up like this, and his head will fold down. So go ahead and fold this point down, and I like to leave about 1/4 inch on both sides. It really doesn't matter necessarily if it's exact. If it's kind of off on one side, it just gives him a quirky and a whimsical appearance. So your turkey can be as whimsical as you want it to be, and it doesn't have to be straight. It actually can go to the side a bit. So don't worry so much about getting that one straight. And now we just put it all together. So we want to glue this part to the here, and I'm just going to go ahead and use some of my ATG gun, and on this side as well. So that this will fold up and attach to this like that. Okay, and now what we're going to do is fold, we're going to glue this corner and this corner up like this. So that will hold together. And you can certainly put some adhesive on before you start folding. If you use the tear and tape, or even glue dots would work well. Okay, so that's the shape of our turkey. All right, let me go ahead and show you how I did this on here. We'll go ahead and just go through quickly. It's in the same way. Okay, so here's my folded up turkey. I liked the way it looked when it was rounded, so I went ahead and took a 1-inch corner rounder, and this is an EK Success one, and I just rounded all these corners. All right, so let me go ahead and bring my other two turkeys in and see how they were decorated. Here's my other turkey. Okay, here's, oh, sorry, my candies are falling out, but that's okay. Let's put that down for the moment. All right, so I went ahead and used some, a reddish one, and I just picked some cherry cobbler for this one. I don't even know if it matched the color, but I thought it looked cool against the background on there. And I actually used this, which was the sprig punch, but you can also use for his snoot. I have the retired triple heart punch. I think that would look really cute for his waddle as well. An upside down heart, or you can use a couple leaves, or anything that you have, couple petals maybe. But I have this punch, and I thought it looked like fun, so I'm going to use that one for the waddle. And for his snood, I just used the very end, so I just punched again at the very end, and I just cut off that extra little piece so I have a snood. Now, as I said, technically they do not have a comb. This actually isn't a comb. It just makes it look like the fleshy head of the turkey, and perhaps it makes it look more like a chicken. But this is my whimsical turkey. But how I did that was I actually used a 1 3/4 inch scallop circle punch. Certainly you could use what you have. That would fit. I mean, even a rounded one would look good because it gives a fleshy head appearance. Because often that snood will grow right into the fleshiness, or that'll all kind of look together on the head of a turkey. And for this one, I actually just cut this in half. And I used half of it. For his 2 eyeballs, I used just a scrap piece of white with a 1 1/4 inch circle punch. And for his beak, as I said, I just used something that had a right angle and that was kind of beak colored. And what I did was I kind of moved that up so that the right angle was on my grid. And I just marked in 3/4 of an inch down each side of one of the angles. And then I cut it straight across there. And that actually matched right up nicely with the beak. I kind of liked it wider. If you want it smaller than 3/4 of an inch, you could do that, or bigger as well. Your turkey can look just like you want it to. But let me go ahead and glue the beak on first. And just match that right angle up with the right angle of the head. All right, so that's his beak. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue his fleshy head part. If you want to make a chicken, it can make the same way. And all I did is put glue right along the edge of there, and I'll just match up And I just move it up and down until the color of the cardstock just peeks out over the top of his head. So I kind of match it up to round up his head. Okay. Then I just take a black pen and I make a couple little dots on the round circles, on the white circles, just for his eyeballs. And I kind of like them both looking down. If you don't like to make dots, you can just punch out a 1/8 inch circle and use those for his eyeballs to put his pupils onto his eyes. But I'm just going to go ahead and use a glue dot to glue these guys on right above the beak. I think it's fun if his kind of eyes are close together and kind of looking towards each other. Okay, so now let me go ahead and put a snoot on. So I have on the end of this, I have a glue dot both on the front and the back, and I'll just position it under his beak and glue that down. And last is my snood, so let me go ahead and cut that extra part of the sprig off. And this is where my tweezers really help, because sometimes my fingers get really fumbly on these little pieces. But let me go ahead and put some glue on the back of it. And let me go ahead, and the snood comes from the fleshy part between the eyes on the face, and it kind of hangs over one side of the beak. Now on this one I went ahead and used just a little banner from the Endless Thanks set, which is a retired set, but use what you have. On this one I actually put it on, I put a thankful for you on the back of it. You don't need that at all if you don't want to put it on there. He looks pretty adorable as he is. So all you have to do is fill him up with candy and put him on your table or wherever he wants to go. I hope you enjoyed this Thanksgiving Day project. And if you liked the video, please subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to be notified of new videos as I post them. If you need more information on this project or any other projects I've done, please go to rejoiceandcreate.com. And as always, until we meet again, I hope you have much to be thankful for and that all your days are blessed. Bye!